The High Court in Dominica says it has no jurisdiction to postpone general elections. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, December 3rd. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. A harsh blow for a group of Dominicans trying to get Friday's general elections postponed. A High Court judge on Tuesday ruled that the court has no jurisdiction to hear the group's application that the polls be held in February next year instead after electoral reform is complete. From Roseau, the CMC's Peter Richards reports.
Justice Bernie Stevenson agreed with the arguments put forward by the lawyers representing President Charles Savre and the Electoral Commission that the only way forward for the petitioners would be through an election petition and only after the elections are held. The judge agreed that since an election writ had been issued, the election process had started, and that while the applicants may have legitimate claims, they cannot be entertained at this time. Justice Stevenson said that the matter then could be properly addressed by the way of a petition, noting that to rule otherwise is to ask the court to predict the outcome of the election. The petitioners, including the president of the Concerned Citizens Movement, Loftus Dura, had asked the court to issue an interim injunction restraining the parties concerned from holding the elections on December 6 or on any other date prior to February 5, 2020, unless the procedures are fully put in place to hold the elections. Apart from President Savre and the Electoral Commission, they had also named the Chief Elections Officer, the Cabinet of Dominica, the Attorney General, and the state-owned DBS Radio as the respondents. Attorney Lennox Lawrence, who appeared on behalf of President Savre, told reporters that the applicants had sought to prevent the elections from taking place on Friday.
They had sought to injunct the holding of the elections. But under our election law, it is very clear, not only in Dominica, in Guyana, in other parts of the Commonwealth, that once the head of state, being in our case the president, issues the writ for the holding of elections, the election process starts. And the only way that the court can intervene would be by a petition which is filed in accordance with law. So one could not approach the court to get an injunction or an interim remedy to stop the holding of elections. This is not the law in the Commonwealth. So this is not peculiar to Dominica. So what the court has done is applied the law as applies in a number of Commonwealth jurisdictions, and to hold that the only way that the applicants can have a remedy is to proceed according to law and to file a petition after the results have been declared.
The attorney representing the petitioner, Cara Shillingford, told the High Court that she would be appealing the matter. But attorney Heather Harris, representing the Electoral Commission, was not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised by anything nowadays. So I'm not surprised, but the law is not on their side.
And Lawrence said he expects the matter to reach the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, the island's highest court.
The applicants have indicated they would appeal. That's their right. We will be at the appeal, we'll argue the appeal, and I'm sure that the court will follow established and well-settled law that the only way that an election can be challenged is by way of election petition. Because the law is clear that the election jurisdiction of the court is a special parliamentary jurisdiction. There is no common law jurisdiction here to grant the remedies that the applicants are asking for. And what is also clear, and the judge also applied the law, that the right to vote is a special statutory right, is not one of the fundamental rights in the Constitution. So there is no breach of a fundamental right on the part of Chapter 1 of the Constitution. So one has to proceed not by way of a fundamental rights application, but according to the election law, that jurisdiction of the court.
Justice Stevenson, who gave an oral ruling, said she would be providing a written judgment before the matter makes its way through the appeals process. From Roseau in Dominica, I am Peter Richards for CMC News.
Meanwhile, former Agriculture Minister Athy Martin, one of the petitioners who sought to have the elections postponed, says he's not surprised by the ruling.
I fully expected the court to sort of find a way around putting our matter forward. However, it's important for us to continue to go through the rest of the court process, because I believe if people lose faith entirely in the justice system, then that is a major block of our governance architecture that we dismantle. So no, we agree with the move by council to keep it alive, go to the appeals level. Let us see if we cannot in fact get it understood that every aspect of a general elections process deserves the attention, support and facilitation of the court system, because that is ultimately what gives us our overall governance structure. And so no, for us, we are not even disappointed, we are not surprised, but we remain hopeful that the population will understand that every aspect of this effort to get free and fair elections deserves an equal opportunity to go forward.
But protesters who are pushing for elections to be called off on Tuesday blocked roads leading to the main airport, forcing passengers to drag suitcases through the street to make their flights. They set up burning roadblocks on the two main roads leading to Douglas Charles Airport. Some passengers were forced to walk more than a mile to the airport. In a statement on its website, Seabourn Airlines, which flies to Dominica from Puerto Rico, cancelled its only Tuesday flight due to the uncertain situation, but regional airline Liat issued a statement saying that all its scheduled flights were operating as normal after reports were circulating on social media that its flights to Dominica had been cancelled due to the protests. Troops from the regional security system are set to be deployed to Dominica to help maintain law and order ahead of the polls. Well, the opposition UWP says it's written to Police Commissioner Daniel Carbon seeking police protection for opposition leader Lennox Linton based on credible threats made against him and his family. In a statement posted on its Facebook page, the party said it wanted the police to provide the protection for Linton for the remainder of the campaign. It said the letter to Commissioner Carbon was sent on Tuesday and it's now awaiting a response. Speaking at a news conference on Tuesday, UWP President Isaac Baptiste said the threat was made on Monday, and he hoped that in the interest of justice and fairness, the Chief of Police would accede to the request for protection for Linton. Well, during the news conference, Linton also responded to accusations made by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit on Monday morning. He'd said that the UWP and its leadership are fomenting violence in the run-up to the general elections, and he said this after supporters burnt tires and debris in the northeast village of Marigot earlier in the day. Linton insisted that the UWP is a party of peace, but it also stands for justice.
The people of Marigot are standing for issues of justice that need to be addressed. The justice issues for the people of Marigot are clear and need to be addressed before we start talking anything about peace. So yes, I support peace in Marigot and everywhere else in Dominica, but I support justice first. And when people rise and stand for justice, I don't have a moral obligation to be talking peace, because I've been long enough on this world to know there really cannot be any peace without justice.
Meantime, the Organization of American States, OAS, will be monitoring the elections in Dominica after all. The government had initially indicated that the hemispheric body would not have been invited to monitor the polls. But speaking on a radio program on Monday night, Prime Minister Skerrit said the OAS had sent an observer team along with the Commonwealth, CARICOM and the United Nations. The delegation is led by former Bahamian Prime Minister Hubert Ingram. The OAS has supported calls by the opposition parties in Dominica for election reform ahead of the polls. And Dominica's ambassador to the OAS, Vince Henderson, who also appeared on the radio program, told listeners that Skerrit had decided to invite the OAS because the country has always had free and fair elections, and in the invitation letter, the government had outlined its concerns to the OAS about its apparent bias based on misinformation. He said the government expects the OAS to be impartial and to report the facts on the ground as they see them. Still to come, both the ruling and opposition parties in Trinidad and Tobago declare victory in local government elections. We'll explain after the break.
Barbados, it's time for you to experience and be part of the all-new Hennessy Artistry. December 7th, Kensington Oval, making his debut performance in Barbados, Davido.
If I tell you, say I love you, oh.
Dexter Daps. Massacre. Anthony B.
Nobody want to plant it.
Taurus Riley.
I rather to live under all stars.
And Barbados' best hyper sounds. Edwin Yearwood. And Lead Pipe. Hosted by Major Hype and Peter Coppin. Showtime 9 p.m. General tickets $100 and the all-inclusive Privilege Lounge $350, regular $400. The all-new Hennessy Artistry.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement, PNM, is claiming victory in Monday's local government elections on the basis of winning more seats than the UNC, although the opposition won some of the seats from the ruling party. Both parties won 7 corporations, but the PNM secured 74 seats, while the UNC got 65. The UNC took 9 seats from the PNM, while the PNM took 2 seats previously held by the UNC. In a statement issued on Monday night, the PNM's Public Relations Officer, Laurel Lizama, expressed the party's gratitude to citizens for placing renewed faith in the PNM. But speaking after the preliminary results were released, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley expressed some disappointment.
It's been a very difficult campaign, a very difficult period of governance for us, and this is our second midterm election. And basically, there hasn't been any significant change. We are a little disappointed that we have not picked up in 1 or 2 areas where we had hoped to improve our position. But while we are disappointed that we have not picked up that particular area, which was a superior effort, we are not surprised by the outcome.
Well, opposition leader Kamla Prasad Besessar, meantime, said the UNC had won the popular vote, although it did not win the majority of seats. And she said the electorate had spoken and change is coming.
The people have shown very clearly, as they exercise their democratic franchise to vote for the candidates and the party that they want, they've shown very clearly they are totally fed up of the PNM. They are ready for the change that is coming, and that change began today in the local government elections. Well,
voter turnout in that poll was approximately 30%. A group of pastors have launched the newest political party in Guyana, hoping to contest general and regional elections next March. And the People's Republic Party, as it's called, the PRP, says it will be on a mission to end homosexuality in Guyana and restore integrity to government office. Newsroom's Baby Katoon reports.
The People's Republic Party, PRP, is led by Dr. Valerie Leong, a senior lecturer at the University of Guyana. Its members are from the Christian faith, and the party was launched on Saturday with a church service at the Ocean View International Hotel, East Coast, Demerara. While persons do not have to be Christians, one of the prerequisites listed in the PRP's Code of Conduct speaks against homosexuality. Speaking with the newsroom during an interview, presidential candidate Dr. Leong said the party believes in marriage as being solely between a biological male and a biological female.
Well, I think that you don't have a right to do what's wrong. Homosexuality is essentially deviant behavior. It's perversion. I will say that unapologetically. But I believe that the people in the LGBT community are people that many times need help. There are many of them, they are hurting people. They're troubled people. If you check their histories, many of them were abused as children, right? And for us to just, they present to us, well, I'm LGBT, whichever one. And we just say, okay, I must pass laws to accommodate you, to facilitate your pain.
A human rights group in the Bahamas is seeking an injunction to block further evictions and demolitions of shanty towns on the hurricane-hit Abaco and the wider Bahamas. President of Rights Bahama, Stephanie St. Fleur, has accused the government of fostering anti-Haitian sentiment. And in an affidavit filed last week, she said that she believes the plan to eradicate rural organic communities is a continuation of a decades-long campaign to cleanse the Bahamas of the influence of Haitian ethnicity on the part of successive governments. Attorneys representing 177 shantytown residents and Respect Our Homes Limited are listed as the applicants in the matter. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, Minister of Labour Dion Fawkes, Minister of Public Works Desmond Bannister, Attorney General Carl Bethel, Bahamas Power and Light and the Water and Sewage Corporation are listed as the respondents. In August 2018, the Supreme Court granted an injunction blocking the demolition of shantytown structures, but the Prime Minister had announced that he will instruct the Attorney General to return to court and seek to have the 2018 injunction lifted. Shantytowns on Abaco, mainly the mud, pigeon peas and sand banks, were largely destroyed during the passage of Hurricane Dorian in September. The government has moved to prevent residents from rebuilding in those communities and also moved to demolish the few remaining houses in those areas and remove debris from the land. But St. Fleur argued that the shantytown residents have suffered under what amounts to a deliberate policy of violating the rule of law, the aim of which is reduction, limitation, or wholesale eradication of Haitian culture and ethnicity in the Bahamas. She claimed that policies by successive governments have intensified anti-Haitian sentiment considerably and given rise to a Haitian lynch mob mentality in certain sectors of the society. Ahead in Newsline Sport, Chris Gayle to play in the Bangladesh Premier League after all. Stay with us.
We've got a huge fan base. They're all into the off-road racers, and a lot of the people that I race against also race in the Baja racing. So it's a very easy transition. And we worked on this barrel roll. It's basically taking a Baja-style truck and spinning it in the air, 4,500-pound truck, spinning it in the air and landing it on the ground. Nobody's ever done that before. Yeah, we worked on that for 4 years, and we decided to roll it out down at Ensenada, and it was really well received.
As a small business owner, you have to make sure your technology is available and operational at all times. But what happens when your network crashes, your email goes down, or your user systems get a virus? You may try to fix the issue yourself, but you can end up making the problem a lot worse. At Digital Networking Solutions, we're more than just people who try to fix your computers. We monitor, maintain, and support your IT systems so that you can focus on growing your business to its fullest potential. When you sign up for one of our IT support plans, we get familiar with your IT environment beforehand, so we can manage it proactively as if it were our own. Your business deserves the best IT services available to ensure it functions to its maximum efficiency. So give us a try today. Email or call us, and we will give you a free network assessment to determine whether now is the time for your small business to adopt Digital Networking Solutions for a smoother, more reliable network experience.
Veteran batting star Chris Gayle has made an about-turn and agreed to play in the Bangladesh Premier League BPL just days after announcing he was taking a break from cricket. The 40-year-old said last week he would not play again this year following his stint in the South African Super League, and he was at pains to explain why he had been associated with the Chattogram Challengers franchise in the BPL bowling off December 11th. But Challengers announced Monday that the big-hitting West Indies left-hander would feature in the league following discussions with his representatives. Sources have said Gayle is not expected to suit up before January 4th in the tournament, which runs until February 8th. He said he'd already made himself unavailable for West Indies' series against India starting this week, and also ruled himself out of the Australia Big Bash beginning this month. Following his comments, Challengers called on the Bangladesh Cricket Board to take action against Gayle if he failed to participate in the BPL. An unbeaten century by Hong Kong's 23-year-old Kinshit Shah ended Bermuda's hopes of victory in their opening Cricket World Cup Challenge B match. The Caribbean side fell to a 3-wicket defeat in Oman on Tuesday. Having been sent in, Bermuda failed to make the most of a solid batting performance that saw them pile up 291 for 8 in their 50 overs, underpinned by 63 apiece from Kamau Levrock and Trey Manders. Opener Levrock smashed 13 fours and a 6 in his 40-ball knock, while number 3 Manders' 89-ball innings included 4 fours and 2 sixes. Hong Kong's first 2 wickets fell for 14 runs inside 3 overs, but they rarely looked troubled from then on, getting home with 4 balls to spare. Medium pacer Onias Bascom was the pick of the Bermuda attack with 2 for 49, while strike bowler Justin Pitcher claimed 2 for 52. Bermuda next face Uganda on Friday. Off-spinner Kevin Sinclair said West Indies' emerging players had a feeling they would have won the Super 50 Cup after a stroke of fortune saw them squeeze into the semi-finals. Sinclair, who picked up 13 wickets in the tournament, including a destructive 4-wicket haul in Sunday's final, said the team had been full of self-belief right throughout. Sinclair said, quote, "I really feel overjoyed. I must say thanks to the Almighty for being with us right throughout the tournament, because there were moments when teams looked like they would have beat us and then we just stuck it out and something happened and we just pulled it over the line. I think the guys played good cricket right through. The fielding was on top, the bowling was really tight, and the batting just had to keep going." End quote. Strike action by football referees in Jamaica forced a crucial match in the ongoing Red Stripe Cup to be postponed. It was supposed to be a clash between Tivoli Gardens and Waterhouse FC, but the match officials failed to show, resulting in the match commissioner calling off the match and supporters demanding their money back.
Were looking to wind their lead atop the table to 11 points, while Tivoli Gardens were aiming to rise from the relegation zone. However, with no points on offer due to the postponement of the game, fans were left contesting a refund. But like the game, none was forthcoming. With a 50% price reduction for the next game, the solution given. Match commissioner for the game, Elaine Walker-Brown, sought to explain the postponement.
Only 2 referees has arrived to the venue. I must say that the JFF person in charge of refereeing has tried very hard. It's just unfortunate that they did not get here in time, because both teams had agreed that they will wait until 3:20 to play the game, because there's no light at this venue. Unfortunately, the referees did not turn up on time, so we have to call off the game.
Finally, Trinidad-based Queen's Park Club swept the Diamond Hockey Festival in Guyana over the weekend. HGP's Stanford Howell has the details.
It was a great moment for the Guyanese side when they tried to rival their Trini counterparts in the hockey festival. On Sunday in the finals, the veteran category witnessed Queen's Park Cricket Club went up against the stalwarts Bounty JCC, a game which proved an uphill task for the locals. Despite a late start from GCC that got the game within reach, it was QPCC that showcased their wealth of knowledge and skills and was crowned the Lucozade over 35 division winners with an 11-8 victory. Here are some highlights of the Battle of Sticks. Up next in the finals were the 9-time winners, the GBTI ladies, who took on the TNT George United in a battle that once again had the crowd on the edge of their seats. George United took first bite at goal, but it was the former champs who showed resilience and bagged their goals in rapid succession to give them a fighting chance. Nevertheless, the women from the Twin Island Republic stood their ground to capture the title 5-4. Here are some highlights of that match. Speaking to the media relatively after the match was the Trinidadian captain, Brianna Govile.
Because they came back and scored 3 goals that, like, one more they would have been equalizing and stuff, so we can't afford to do that, but all in all we won. So. Well, we have history here, all of us, we come every year and they keep beating us with like 1 goal in the final, so it feels really good to come back and beat them, finally.
The final match of the Guyana indoor hockey season were the also powerful Hikers who drew battle with Queen's Park Cricket Club. This match went the distance and was full with nail-biting moments throughout the 4 quarters as the game went into a penalty shootout. The game, which was a stalemate up until halftime, was broken first in the 3rd quarter with a triple strike by QPCC side. Here are the highlights of that match.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back. Again, the major developments of this day. The High Court in Dominica says it has no jurisdiction to postpone Friday's general elections. And in sport, Chris Gayle agrees to play in the Bangladesh Premier League just days after announcing he was taking a break from the game. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.